I do love coming to San Francisco when I'm up here in the Bay Area visiting my family. So we're at City Hall in San Francisco and it's a beautiful day, so I'm going to be going up to Van Ness and interviewing Helen Wong today. I've reached my destination, which is the War Memorial Building at 401 Van Ness Street. I've been here so many times. Today I'm in downtown San Francisco at the Veterans War Memorial Building at 401 Van Ness, and I'm doing an interview with someone I've known for a very long time. So I'd like to introduce you all to Helen Wong. It's really great to see you today in San Francisco, Helen. So could you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Oh, okay. Well, I was not really intending going to the service, especially since my dad always told us war is hell. That is all he would say about his experience. He was with the 101st Airborne during World War II, and they went all through Europe. And we didn't find out till much later. And I had to read about him in our McFarland Press, which is the local paper at the time, that his experiences were such that he almost died, but we didn't know that at the time, and he wouldn't talk about his experiences anyway. But fast forward to when I was going to school at San Jose State, majoring in occupational therapy, and this is during the Vietnam War. Didn't know that much about Vietnam, except that what we saw in the news, that it was not a good experience. And you got to remember, during World War II, the Asians were the enemy. Korea, Asians were the enemy again. And here comes Vietnam, and again, Asians were the enemy. So it wasn't something that would be inspiring for me to go into the military. When I was at school and my friends were being drafted, they said, don't come into the military unless you're an officer. I had no intentions of going in at all, but in my field of occupational therapy, I still have to do internship. And I had been working all the time from high school through junior college, and then I was a work study student at San Jose State, but in internship, you cannot work. So I investigated into the military internships, found out that if I went into the Navy, that's a 4-year commitment, and I don't swim. Air Force was 3-year commitment. I don't like to fly. And so Army had a 2-year commitment, and I thought, well, I could do 2 years, it's short enough, and I keep my feet on the ground. So I applied, and luckily enough, I was selected, one of 5 out of 200 applications. And so I was accepted, went into the Army, finished my internship, did officer's basic at Fort Sam Houston, and then was assigned to Fort Lewis, Washington, which, you know, the 2-year commitment turned into, well, I have to do 4 years of reserve duty. So I wound up going into a reserve unit, and lo and behold, 20 years later, with a call up for Desert Storm, I finally was able to finish my time with the military in the Army, and went on to volunteer in different veterans groups. Okay, so AMVETS has been really welcoming, but you know, funny thing, but my dad was not an AMVET member. He was an American Legion member from way back. But I remember when I was younger, I'd read his American Legion magazines, and I thought that was really interesting. Again, coming back to AMVETS, never heard of AMVETS. Never heard of AMVETS until I started working for the VA, working for the National Center for PTSD program. And there I saw that there were AMVETS members, and there were AMVETS little shuttle carts and buses and what all around the hospital. And so that got us curious. And so that is why when we were asked to join AMVETS, by then he was like, oh, okay, that sounds like another good service organization to get involved in. And though my dad was always working, I think he always inspired us to give back. That was one of the things that no matter, how hard we had to work, that was one of the things that we needed to do is give back to the community, give back to other veterans. And so really, my friends are veterans. I have very few outside friends from veterans groups, and most of my time I spend volunteering for veterans groups.
So Helen, I've known you a long time, and I've always admired your ability to dedicate yourself to a lot of veteran groups, but specifically AMVETS. What is it that you get out of it?
I think with AMVETS, because it is a smaller veterans organization, we get to know the members more on a personal level, and they're not just numbers. We are a smaller veterans organization within California, but being that we've been in AMVETS for so long, we know a lot of the members personally, and we know what they can help us with, what we can achieve if we all work together. We've had, I think, ups and downs like all service organizations, but the future for AMVETS is bright. I believe that by sticking with an organization and putting energies into an organization, we can strengthen, again, strength in numbers, to borrow from the Golden State Warriors. That will get us far. And for me personally, I've had times when we've wanted to take a step back from AMVETS because it wasn't going in the direction where we could really help veterans. But now I think I'm in the path to continue on. And as the Department First Vice Commander right now, and with the state convention coming up really soon, I am prepared to take the next step and run for state commander. And by all means, it sounds like I probably have a pretty good chance of being elected, but I don't count my chickens before they hatch. Meanwhile, I'm going to continue to serve veterans the best of my ability.
How would you encourage others to become a member of any veteran service organization, like the American Legion or the Disabled American Veterans or the Vietnam Veterans of America, of which I know you are a member of all of those groups? But why should they consider choosing AMVETS?
Well, that's a good question, and I would say you have to be involved with something that you believe in. You have to find a group that has interests that you believe in also, that you want to participate and do as a volunteer, because we're all volunteers and all our time is precious. So you have to pick and choose what you want to spend your time doing. And so for me, AMVETS is a easy answer, because we can make it whatever you want it to be. If you want to work at the hospital and volunteer there, great. If you want to work with homeless veterans, we have that aspect. I mean, there's a little everything for everyone, and that is one of the things that AMVETS is noted for. We are open to National Guard, reservists, military, you name it, veterans. We are the only group that's the most inclusive, not exclusive, because I can think of VFW. You have to have served in the theater of combat during the time. So you are kind of excluded from that if you didn't serve. But with AMVETS, we include everyone. And we also have projects for families. So I strongly encourage veterans and active duty and reservists and National Guardsmen to really look into AMVETS. So thank you for asking me the questions. Thank you for your time.